We're recording now?
Should I put? It doesn't matter. Put 2 on, right?
Yeah, whatever you like, man. Whatever feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah. Cheers.
Hold on, I gotta make myself a little bit. Let me get
Let's set the tone. Are we rocking and rolling? Let's set it off.
We are rocking and rolling.
Hey.
This is episode 2.
Episode 2 of the Bout
Cheers.
Whatever podcast. Cheers. Thanks
Cheers.
for having me.
Unofficially sponsored by Jameson from my Irish lad here.
Hey.
So what's up, man? How's life?
It's like all over the place.
How so? I mean, first off, I've seen you sporadically throughout the years.
Right. Let's just
Like throughout. I mean, we went to. All right, let's start. Okay.
Yeah. How do we set it off?
How do we know each other? First off, we know each other from college.
Right. We met in a journalism class, but in Brooklyn College.
Was it the journalism class or was it
Dunphy?
Was it Dunphy or was it? Because I think before that happened. I don't know if you remember this kid named John Scanlon. He like had a class with you, and I think he overheard you saying that you were looking to do a hip hop radio show, and he was my roommate at the time.
Oh, that's Big Slim, the big tall skinny guy with the blonde hair.
Yes.
Okay, copy.
So I think that's the dude who was like, yo, I got this guy who's also trying to do a radio show, and then that's how we met, and then we ended up being in the same class.
Right.
I think eventually,
and that worked out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the ciphers and everything, and then this and that. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know who are watching, we graduated Brooklyn College together, 2014.
2013, 2014.
13,
yeah.
14.
Yeah.
And we hosted ciphers and a radio show.
Yeah.
It was called
Shout
Who's
out
on
Who's
Deck.
on Deck.
Yeah, Who's on Deck. Hang on, one time.
Cheers to that.
For Who's on Deck, for
Yo,
the people out there who know what it is.
Very legendary. We talked about it on the last podcast with Radamez. We talked about how we had Joey and them, Joey Capital, all of them when they were like 16.
Yo,
you know, I
was going over with Erickson before we posted up. One day I had a cipher. It was the third cipher we had ever had. Remember, the first one was in the middle of the field, and before it was called Who's on Deck, I was like, yo, I'm throwing a cipher. I made little flyers. I handed them out.
I think somebody was playing the guitar that day, right?
Yes.
We took a picture. I think we have a picture of that.
Another dude named John. Yeah, there's somewhere. And you came at the very end. You were like, oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
And then we had a second one. And then on the third cipher at Brooklyn College, we were rapping. Everybody was going in. We had a little boombox, or we had whatever instrumentals. We were just freestyling. I got a tap on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I turned around. It was Capital Steez.
Yeah.
And ever so like soft spoken, he was like, "Hey, can I rap with you guys? Can I get it?" And in my head, I'm like, "Come on, man!"
But you didn't even know who he was at that point. No,
I never saw him before in my life.
Nobody knew who they were. They all rolled up on like skateboards and shit.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This was the first invitation because he came and he spit like 3 verses.
Yeah.
And all of us were like, "Whoa!" He was like the hottest. He was like the strongest spitter in that cipher. Mm-hmm. And all of us were kind of like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "Man, it's so cool to meet you. Can I get your math? Can I invite you to the next one?" He came, cipher number 4.
Yeah.
And he came with Joey, and he came
Nick
with
was
CJ
there.
Fly. And I don't know if
Nick was there.
Nick Caution was at a lot of the ciphers. I'm not sure if he was at this particular one that Steez brought the 2 guys in, but then the 3 of them were there, and we just had a great cipher. It was a great moment. It was before they were anybody, and it was only like 2 weeks later that all of a sudden it was like boom, like Pro Era.
Yeah, it was the one video with him and Joey. Something Destruction. What was that? What was that track?
Survival Tactics.
Yeah, Survival Tactics.
Yeah.
It was Survival Tactics. And then I remember seeing that video, and I posted it or something. And Rashid, shout out to Rashid. I haven't talked to him in so long, dude.
I know, me either.
But Rashid was like, "Yo, you know who that is, right?" I'm like, "No, who?" He's like, "Yo, we just had them on you just had them at the cipher last week, 2 weeks ago or whatever." I was like, "No way."
I know, and that track, Survival Tactics, put him out there.
Yeah, like, that was the track that blew him up. Yeah,
and so that was the first time all of us, like in the cipher, in that little community, all of us were like looking around, like, "Oh,
who the fuck are these kids?"
Not even that. It was like, whoa, like you can actually make it.
Yeah,
like this kid was right here with us rapping. We're all on the same level. We're all right here local. This is just just a cipher. You know what I'm saying? And right after that, we saw him on MTV and all this and that. And for me, like as a hungry like artist, I was like, damn, son, like it's people get discovered. Yeah, like it's real. Like it actually happens. Like something can happen like
Sparked
that.
a little interest.
It was so like it was just like a shot of inspiration to everybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like looking around at each other, like, wow, look at us.
And also it was my first time ever. Like I think it had to be one of my first times ever being involved with an event that we had that I had my hands on, or we both had our hands on, or whatever. Mm-hmm. That somebody turned
big.
Somebody turned big. Yeah,
All
I was
of a
like,
sudden,
what?
yeah, it was like,
What?
whoa. That was a big eye opener.
And I don't even think I understood the importance of it until we got like till about now, right? Like
Right.
when you look back at those things and you're like, Jesus Christ, man, we were what 21, 20 years old in college, just like
yeah, and that they were right there in the ciphers, and you look back and you're like, it was just such a time.
Yeah.
All of the hungriest like MCs like on the scene, like trying to get out there, were there.
Yeah.
Came through. We had, it was a nice little period of time.
Yeah.
Who's on Deck ciphers and radio. Like we had guests, we had the ciphers, we had the whole campus. Everybody was like, we were popping, man. Like everybody
people
was like
still talk to me. People still come up to me to this day.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not so much now since, the pandemic stuff's happened. The shows stopped. But, when you would go out to shows in Brooklyn, I was talking to Radimus about it too. I was like, we kind of all were within like the same circuit of events. So we all kind of like were tied into each other at some sorts. And, before all this stuff happened and people were still going out and hanging out, every once in a while I would have somebody come up to me, man, like, yo, you know how important those things were? Like, those things were so sick. You know?
They come up, people come up to me and say the same things, and it always warms my heart. Like, yo, I missed that vibe.
Yeah.
You guys had such a thing going on.
Yeah.
They say it's nice. You know what I mean?
I remember we did one day where it was like a moving cipher. We walked through the whole campus. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
We walked through the whole campus. Security guards were joining in on it. Teachers, because we had that. It was like what was that common hour? Like when everybody was out of class.
Like 2-hour break?
Yeah, it was like 12 to 2 or 2:15 or something like that. That's when we used to have the ciphers. Yeah.
12 o'clock, right?
Yeah, 12 o'clock. Every 12. Every Wednesday or something? Or
it was like once a week, 12 o'clock.
Yeah. And every once in a while we would take a week off to like prepare for a big one.
Or maybe it was once a month. Maybe it was like the first Wednesday or first.
Maybe it was
month.
once a month.
I think it started as once a month, but as we got closer to graduation, we were
more. Yeah,
we got to do it every week, man, because people wanted it.
And it was crazy because it was on Brooklyn College campus, but people from all over the city were coming.
Yo, I'm saying too.
They were people were like getting sign-in sheets to come and just freestyle for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
coming from like Harlem, coming from all over the city,
from the Bronx. You remember Spock came from the Bronx, man. And
beatboxer.
He was a beatboxer for us, sure. And he actually just happened to be on campus. Shout out to Spock, man. If you ever see this, you're an integral part of Who's on Deck.
For sure.
Especially at the beginning. He happened to just be walking on campus. He didn't know about it the first time. The first cipher, he was there.
Yeah.
He just saw it. He passed through, and he was like, he had his little beatbox, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
And then he kept coming for a while. And all the MCs, all the various rappers who came through from all various parts of New York. I just want to say personally, I'm grateful to you guys, and I want to take this moment because the hip hop community in New York lost someone recently who was really big on the scene. A guy named Kid Lucky or King Luck.
He was this part of the ciphers, the traveling ciphers that you've been doing, right?
Yes, those are he. Started the Hip Hop Subway series.
Okay, I remember this. I remember you telling me about this. Yeah.
And before I came to Brooklyn College, I would always go to these ciphers, the Hip Hop Subway series, from when I'm like 18.
Yeah.
And when I went to Brooklyn, I went to Kid, and I was like, "Yo, Kid, I wanna do ciphers at Brooklyn College. Like I could be the Hip Hop Subway series rep. I could do it here."
Yeah.
And he said, "Nah, man, do your own thing." He said, "Do your own thing." And I just want to take this moment to just say that I'm grateful that I got to know that guy. And
how do you pass?
I don't even know.
No,
I don't even know. I just saw it all. It just happened so recently, and he was such just someone who gave me a space and was so helpful and integral and almost like a mentor or like a guiding type of personality. And he hosted the Hip Hop Subway series with a beatboxer called Gray Matter. Gray, if you ever see this.
I remember Gray Matter.
Yeah, he came through to one of our ciphers.
Yeah, he did.
Also Mandible, also known as Jaws, another beatboxer.
So what was the other dude that's like kind of popped off with Will Smith? Will Smith was posting this stuff.
Oh, that's Verbal Ace.
Verbal Ace.
Beatboxer from space.
Yeah,
that's one of my right-hand man. That's my right-hand man right there.
Beatboxer from space. I remember that dude. He's legit.
He's super legit. I'm training him virtually. I'm working out with him at 5 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah, he's my client. I'm his personal trainer. And he does a show. He does a YouTube. By the way, Verbal Ace, as far as beatboxers go, this guy is like top tier entertainment value, and he's built himself coming to New York with like pennies, and built himself an empire all off his own sweat. And I'm just like so inspired, and I love this guy so much. And he's got a house in Vegas, I think. Yeah. And I was saying all this because now he works on YouTube. He does all his work on YouTube. He's a YouTuber and an influencer. And I write for his cartoon. He has a show called Cartoon Beatbox Battles, where he takes two like famous cartoon characters and makes them beatbox and battle each other. Oh. And he hires me to help him write the scripts.
Okay, so to write the verses.
To write the verses,
okay,
exactly. So I'm writing bars for him, through the perspective of like, Black Panther, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, Batman.
Ah, word. Okay.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of cool duels, and that's a fun thing that I got going on right now.
Yeah.
But we swirled in a lot of directions. There's another beatboxer who came to the Cyphers. His name is Rizumik. You remember that guy? You guys may not remember this guy, but we
had so many people.
We did. We had a lot of good times, and a lot of cool beatboxers came through. And he was another really good one that came through. And I think it's just worth mentioning him because that was such a great cypher that day. Because we had that dude play the guitar, we had the beatboxers, we had such a vibe.
Yeah, there was always somebody that would bring something different. I mean, I think at one point we even had some dude playing a harmonica.
Yeah.
And then I used to make the beats. But we used to put together like instrumentals. And I used
playlists.
to pick. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I used to have a CD that you made me. It was the instrumental playlist. It was like
the fact that it was a CD.
It was a CD, and it was in a CD
you
player.
Said I just made you a CD.
Yo, man, that was so cool. Yo, come on, man, that was so cool, dude.
Did I write on a permanent marker too?
Yes, yes. You wrote with a Sharpie the lyrics. No, with the instrumentals.
Yeah.
That was such a classic, man. We put the boombox on the garbage can.
Yeah, I remember like that was like so. That was so important to me. Just like I want to pick the best beats. I need people whenever I put this beat on. I need people to be like, oh
yeah,
shit. Like I needed that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And shout out to you as the DJ and the musical curator because I was like the host.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. And you had the instrumentals on deck and things like that. And yeah, for anybody watching who was ever a part of that saga of who's on deck I was at Brooklyn College 3 years.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
Well, about 2.5.
About 2.5, something like that. Yeah. 3. I thought I graduated, and then I realized I had to come back and take another class, but that's besides the point. But the bottom line was, like, I just want to thank everybody who came to those ciphers. And if you're out there and you're watching this and you were there and you know, please drop a comment and leave a good memory or a good moment or just something you remember and connect with because that era, it came and it went.
Yeah.
Because when we graduated, we went different ways.
Yeah, we did, man.
And that's just how it goes. I ended up being a kid's cooking show.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna talk about that. I want to stay on the rap stuff for a little bit too because you said you started doing the Subway series when you were around 18, but like talk to me. I mean, I don't think we've really ever like gotten into depth about like the origins of you growing up and discovering that music or rapping that was something you wanted to do, especially coming from the neighborhood that you come from. I want you to kind of like, I want you to touch on that too because I've been to Garrison Beach, which is the most southern part of Brooklyn, basically.
It's
right?
deep. It's Brooklyn deep south. It's called the West Virginia of Brooklyn. Some people call it. I've heard that recently, and I was like, damn,
that's fucked up.
Yeah, man, I don't
know about that, but. I know about I know about your upbringing. That's mostly an Irish community and stuff like that, correct?
Yeah, yeah, Irish Italian neighborhood. When I was coming up, that's what it was.
Okay, so
now it's mixed. Now the neighborhood's a little different now.
Yeah, talk to me about like coming up in that neighborhood and kind of discovering that. I'm sure you were a little bit different from a lot of people in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much.
I can assume.
Yeah. Well, coming up in Garrison Beach, South Brooklyn. What's up? Everybody in Garrison.
Shout out Garrison Beach.
Yeah. If you know Garrison Beach, and here's the thing: if you live in Brooklyn and you say, yeah, you have been to Garrison Beach, a lot of people will say, no, I never heard of it. And if they have heard of it, chances are sometimes they haven't heard of it for the best things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Primarily like alcoholism and racism, and at this point in time, Trump supporters.
Really?
Yeah, heavy. Okay. But and here's the deal. Like I love where I'm from. I love to be raised where I was raised. So yeah, the neighborhood. When I grew up, everybody was Irish or Italian. When you grew up, you do baseball. When you grow up, you're kind of like cops and firefighters and garbage men.
Real manly men.
Yeah, just like blue collar jobs.
Yeah, blue collar jobs. Yeah.
Those types of positions, those guys are seen as like royalty to us. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So when you come up, these are your heroes. And it's almost like, I always think of it like, remember in the beginning of Pokemon where you could pick a Squirtle or a Charizard or a
I'm gonna be honest with you,
Bulbasaur.
I never was into Pokemon.
All right, well, it's all good. If you aren't into Pokemon.
I get what you're saying. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Pick the grass type, the water.
Whichever your character, yeah.
Right, so, growing up, I really thought I was going to be a firefighter, even when we were hosting those ciphers.
I remember you talking about it. Weren't you taking classes or training?
Yeah, no, I was, at that time when I got to Brooklyn College, I had already taken the firefighter's exam and taken the medical and physical and psychological, and I had just graduated from Kingsborough Community College, a 2-year school, and my next step was to go into the fire academy.
Yeah.
But there was a freeze on the test, and the test that I was on, the list number that I was on was tossed. So it was like, I guess I'll just keep going to school. You know, I didn't even plan on going for my bachelor's or anything.
Yeah, you were just kind of 2 year. Because don't you? I mean, to be a firefighter, don't you need to have?
Yes.
You need to at least have a 2 year degree.
You need a 2 year. You need credits, and then you got to go to the academy and get trained and all that. But when we were in Brooklyn, I was doing EMT work. I was like studying to be an EMT. I worked. I had one crazy night on Easter. I'll never forget it.
Tell me a little bit about if it doesn't take you off if it doesn't take you off track a little bit.
Stick a pin in that because we're all right. As long as you can bring us back. As long as we can bring ourselves back.
I'll remember.
All right. So on Easter Sunday, I think it was 2016 or 15 or something like that. I was working as an EMT in the Bronx from like a 3 a.m. shift to like a 3 p.m. shift. And I was shadowing these two guys. I'll never forget their names. They were both short, very round gentlemen. One guy was named Iannelli, and one guy was named Spaccavelli. And they knew my cousin, Handsome John Hanson. And like they were looking out for me. And I saw so much like carnage in one night. I was so shaken up, man.
You couldn't do it.
I was like, dang, man, I'm not tough enough for this job. This shit is hard. In one night, the things I saw, dude, like I don't even, like... I saw a guy throwing up like green bile, like green neon green, and he's in the back of I'm in the back of the ambulance with this guy.
Yeah.
And the two guys are in the front, like talking about sports, and the guy's in the back with me.
They're used to it, yeah.
No, and I'm like, God, and he's begging me to kill him. He's like, please kill me. I'm just like, I'm like, gee, this guy, and he looked really rough. Like that was really intense. And I was trying to talk to the guys in front, and they were just like playing it off like it was normal. I was like, dang, man. I remember I had to wrestle this drunk guy into a stretcher. They were like, yeah, that's Fred. We pick him up every Wednesday. And I had to, we took this guy and his girl. This girl was like the 16-year-old girl pregnant, about to have her baby. I'm in the back of the ambulance with these two kids, and I'm trying to talk to the dude. I'm like, hey, man, what are you going to do? How are you going to take care of this kid? I'm trying to give him like a motivational talk. Like, shit, man. There was so much. That was a crazy night. So,
yeah.
And just to give a little perspective, that night that I worked as an EMT, and I realized I'm not cut out for that job. A year later on Easter, I was in the White House. I was at the White House on the lawn, and I met Michelle, and I met Obama, and like that's a whole nother crazy story. Stick a pin in that, stash it somewhere.
Oh, we're definitely gonna get to that.
But just to show you how the whole world comes around and like how crazy and different everything is. I don't know how we got here. We started on Garrettson.
Well, no. What we were talking about was how you weren't even planning on going to Brooklyn College after the 2 years.
No.
And you the EMT list passed, and I think you
I thought I was going to be a firefighter.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to be a firefighter because that was just what was instilled in me. And as a, I've always been like an eccentric, loud, boisterous, entertainment type of personality. My mom is a professional entertainer for many, many years. My mother was a clown.
Yeah,
legendary.
I definitely want to talk about that too.
Yeah,
sure.
My mom is Lily Beth the Clown, and she served. She was 25 years. She worked as a kids entertainer.
Yeah,
backyard birthday parties, house parties.
Was she just Brooklyn? I mean, all over the city.
She was primarily Brooklyn, but
Okay.
she did jobs in Staten. She would do jobs in Manhattan. She would do jobs in Queens, just basically the surrounding New York area. And when I was 18, she gave it to me.
Yeah.
And when people called for her, she would send me instead. And she taught me her tricks. She taught me a lot. She gave me basically like a little family-owned little business that came out to me. I really didn't want to do it actually because like coming up and it's like who wants to be a fucking clown?
That's what
it's like the diss. It's like the biggest diss. Look at this fucking clown.
Yeah, and exactly. I also before we get too in depth of how it was like growing up with your mom as a clown and how you got handed this business, I want to talk about growing up as a child with a mom who was a clown, dealing with kids. Is that? I can only imagine like being like a kid in elementary school, middle school, and your friends are
all your
mom's
friends.
a clown.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
What is that like? What was that like?
There were jokes, but they never really hit so hard because my mom is such a magical, like big, strong energy and presence. Like she changes every room that she walks into. She has a very profound impact on everybody she comes into contact with. People love my mom. She's a very special lady.
And definitely transferred to you.
Thank you, man. Cheers. And she's similar as a clown as she just is as a regular person. It's just my mom in makeup. You know what I mean? So a lot of my friends, their parents hired my mom to do their kids' parties.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, it was just like Roger's mom's the clown. Everybody knows. Everybody in the neighborhood knew her. And she was a music teacher. She did a lot of community like Christmas plays and like taught a lot of kids how to sing. And now what's cool is a lot of my friends who had my mom as their clown, they grew up and they had kids.
And now they
hire me.
You,
so it's like a
that's
real,
pretty cool.
Yeah, there's like a sense of like lineage to it.
And sense of family, like that's been in that neighborhood too, especially.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
I feel like that neighborhood like is kind of similar to where I kind of grew up in upstate New York, where it's such a small, tight-knit thing that everybody knows everybody, I assume.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody's business.
Yeah, like I can hear my next door neighbor fart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how close we are. Everybody knows everybody.
That was like my early years in New York before I grew up. I grew up mostly in Florida, middle school and high school. But upstate, you know, like the town like that
Fort Lauderdale, right? Is that
Fort Lauderdale? Yeah, basically. Deerfield Beach. I just tell people Fort Lauderdale because a lot of people don't know where that is. But it's like 10 minutes or 15 minutes north of Fort Lauderdale. Deerfield is,
So growing up in Garrettson, you know, when I was a kid growing up, because I would always dress up, I would always be wild and different and try to be unique. Yeah, I knew I was different. I used to just be like not think like everybody always. You know, I like to draw, I like to write, I like to break my toys, put them together. They thought it was gay when I was a kid. They like at one point they thought like they just didn't know what to do with me. I was just a little different. I sucked at all sports. Yeah, but I was on every team. And I had a great attitude. I would always crack jokes. I would play the whole game on the bench. Sometimes
funny guy.
Yo, even though the coaches loved me, man. Even though I wouldn't even play. I was a terrible player.
You were just good for the morale, dude.
Yeah, I'm good for. I was like a team spirit type of guy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I ended up becoming a college mascot when I went to Kingsborough.
I was just about to say, you're like the unofficial. You were like the mascot on the bench,
man.
But before, without the costume.
Yo, and like I just got great memories with that.
How is that being a mascot? I've always wanted to do that. I've always, like when I was in high school and we'd have the mascot running around the gym or like anything where I see it on TV or at sports games, college games, I'm like, that must be so fun. I wouldn't tell anybody first off that I was a mascot. Right. You know what I mean? I would just need to keep that to myself just so I can really just like embrace it.
Yeah,
you know?
And you know what? At the time when I was in Kingsborough, I did keep it secret. Yeah. And I did wear a mask and you know what I mean? I was a character.
What was the
name of the athletic department was called the Wave. So the college mascot was Wave Man. But they didn't actually have a mascot. I just cut a hole in a basketball and like put it on my head. Actually, my friend Big Dave.
Oh wait, I think you painted your body blue, right?
Yeah, no, I wore like a blue suit. It was like a superhero character that made no sense. You know, and I was the mascot for the basketball team, and this is a 2-year community college, and the basketball team, no shade, was terrible. We lost every game by like double digits. So like it was hard being a mascot for a team that everybody knew wasn't great. There was one game we were losing by like 20 points, and I tried to do a backflip. I had spiders, and I sprained my ankle. So by the end of the game, like the mascot had his foot up in his thing. And the morale was we were just so defeated.
You got your over there with the trainer.
Yeah, but yeah, it was terrible. But yeah, I kept it secret, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really good time. Yeah. And I don't know how we got there.
Honestly, man, we're all over the place, but I love it.
So, growing up in Garrettson, yada, 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 trying to be a firefighter, yada, yada,
growing up in the family business.
Not
necessarily wanting to do it, but kind of, feeling the pressure of...
No, my mom, actually a lady, one of my mom's friends, a family in the neighborhood, Betty Ann Donato.
Shout out Betty Ann
Shout
Donato.
out Betty Ann Donato and all the Donatos. I love you guys. Cheers to you guys. Thanks you for putting me on. I didn't want to. I was also a lifeguard at Kingsborough.
I remember this.
And I didn't want to do I didn't want to be a clown. Yeah. And Betty Ann was like, Roger, come here, do what your mother does. Rah, 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 rah. Almost like peer pressure bullied me into it. Yeah. And then I did it. And then I had so much fun just being a goof and getting the laughs and having fun and all my silly, stupid little tricks. It went through many evolutions through time. And now, here I am all these years later. I've been doing it like 12 years. Yeah. It still pays my bills. I'm still doing it. No matter where my life has taken me, people always call me to do their birthday parties for their kids or to do kids entertainment. And now I got I got some corporate clients. I got a seasonal cyclical thing. I told you it's November right now. I used to be a pirate. Now I just shaved. We're going into December. Now I'm turning into the Christmas elf.
Yeah, I know you do the elf Roger. What is it?
Elf
Raji. All right.
Yeah. So, the ciphers and the rapping and the hip hop and everything like that. When I was in high school, I was in a gospel chorus, and there were dudes in the gospel that would always like freestyle and like rap and like beatbox. I thought it was so cool. Yeah. I thought it was just like the coolest thing. I'll never forget these guys. They made a little group. It was called Exit, and there was a guy named Latique, Eric, and Sean, and I love you guys forever. And I bumped into and Mikey. And you guys were just so dope, and no one will ever know you. No one will ever know you guys, but I'll always remember you guys as the dudes who I wanted to like emulate and be a part of. And I couldn't even be a part of it. I would just watch them and be like, "Damn, that's so cool." But I was too shy, man. I'm like freshman year. I'm a chubby dude. I'm like in gospel. I can't rap. And then sophomore year, I finally got my feet wet and I started stepping into it. We were cool and I started doing it. I became friends with my man, Daniel Brown. We became a group, Dr. Beatbox, because he was Daniel, I was Roger. And we could both beatbox.
Yeah.
And he could sing really well. And I would freestyle and rap and write little bars and stuff like that. And then we found out about these ciphers. And then I started going to these ciphers and I never stopped. And
it's just crazy to me though, like one thing that's always, and we'll stay on track with this, but one thing that's always intrigued me about you is your ability to not care. And I don't want to say not care because I don't know what you're actually thinking, but I'm saying your ability to feel comfortable with ever. And so you say with your freshman year, you were this shy kid, jumping in, and then all of a sudden within the next year, boom, you're rapping at ciphers and all of a sudden you're.
Yeah, well,
did it just happen that quick?
No, it did not happen that quick.
Okay.
I sucked for a long time. Everybody made fun of me. I made a fool of myself.
Yeah.
I sounded stale and like the most blandest, driest, white meat chicken.
But a lot of people can't do that, bro. A lot of people don't have.
They never get through that.
They don't get through exactly. They don't get through that.
And I'm glad I went through a lot of that before everything was recorded and digital. And I know
True.
there's videos out there that come out.
Yeah.
But I realized. Like in high school, I went to Edward R. Murrow, also where Joey Bad and the pro era, a lot of dudes went. And shout out to Edward R. Murrow. It's a great school. It really allows you to be yourself and find yourself. And as an actor, entertainer dude, it really was a great place for me. You know what I mean? And outside of school, when I went to the ciphers in the city, in the trains, at the Hip Hop Subway Series, the skill level was much higher. Yeah. And everybody was like really hungry. Like rappers had business cards and everybody was trying to outdo each other. And it was like, rah, like I was like, oh geez, man.
It was your introduction to like real hip hop shit.
Yeah, exactly. And at that time, I could not grasp the idea of what hip hop even was. I think actually that's the first time the phrase hip hop ever really entered my mind was at these ciphers.
Was music like a thing coming up in your house?
Well, my mom sings a lot. She plays the guitar. She's lyrics.com. She's also worked at a nursing home for many years, and she was the music recreation therapist. So she would do shows with the old people, which is adorable and hilarious. Yeah. And she was a music teacher at a school in Rockaway. Okay, cool. So she did a lot of music and singing and dancing and, just like a lot of music. I did Irish step dancing with my sister when I was a kid. So music is a big influence. Like it was always around, a very musical family. Family reunions, everybody's singing, big giant family, everybody's loud. We perform and sing and entertain each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even when I was a kid, like my mom made me and my sister entertain the guests or company, or she was always doing shows, so she always put us in it forefront. It was just like normal to me. So by the time I grew up, my shyness factor had been like removed because I had been always on a stage doing stuff. Yeah. And so yeah, there's that. And yeah, like that was like my first real introduction to hip hop. And I realized it must be important to me and I must love it because it was something that nobody told me to do. And I would go so far out of my way just to watch it and be close to it and be a part of it.
Yeah, you travel, dude.
You got to understand, Garrison Beach, there's no trains that go there. There's just one bus that goes in and out. Yeah. You can only get there by bus, car, or boat, or skateboard or bike. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I would take a bus to a train, from the first stop to the last stop, get on a train, go into the city, all by myself, just as a young kid, just to be around this environment. And I was so like enthralled by it. And that passion never really left me. Like right now in my life, like I miss it. Like there's not enough of that around me. You know what I mean? I wish I could rap more. I wish I could freestyle more. I wish I was around hungry MCs like that just to get that vibe. You know what I'm saying? I live for those moments. And that passion and that energy and that come up is what led us into Who's on Deck. Yeah. Because I told you, I asked Kid Lucky, the guy who started the series. I said, "Hey man, can I start it here at Brooklyn College?" He said, "No man, do your own thing." Yeah. And that's how I came with it. So yeah, that's like a pretty condensed, summarized come up story. But it's definitely foreign. Yeah. It's definitely like nobody, my neighborhood, that's not like the typical type of thing. It's not very typical. You know what I'm saying? I guess you could say. No,
yeah, for sure. I mean, it was just interesting to me. I mean, that always intrigued me.
The kid from Garrison.
The kid from Garrison who. Okay, let's get a little personal. Go ahead. I want to talk about this. The kid from Garrison Beach who you say is a space of, I'm not saying not so much now, but there was a lot of, discrimination, racism, and things like that, right? But you are a big supporter of, hip hop history and hip hop culture, which is predominantly black, right?
Of course.
And one thing I want to touch on is just like, how was that? What was that like? Well, what was that introduction like to your family? And
they don't get it at all.
Well, yeah, I don't want to get too. I don't want to like put you on the spot here, but the whole interrelationships with your past girlfriends and stuff like that. Not just a hip hop culture, but like I remember you. I mean, sorry if I get.
It's okay, man. I got no shame.
But I remember you telling me, the girlfriend that I met you with, it was a Haitian girl, I believe. Mm-hmm. And excuse me if I'm wrong, but a lot of your girlfriends are all like Caribbean, I assume, right?
I prefer. I am more. I got rejected by a lot of white girls when I was small and young and chubby, and the first girl to ever give me love was a Jamaican girl.
Cool.
And I think it altered my perception a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was in a serious relationship with a black girl.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That is.
And then it's like, it takes me back to the time where, I mean, we had like a real serious conversation one time. I think it was like before the show, and you were talking about how you were tired and stuff. And I was like, what do you mean? And you were like, yo, I literally have to like sleep in my van. I think it was your dad's van. Like, I think you have to sleep in your dad's, the green van, right?
Mary Bernadine was the name of that van.
The van with your girlfriend, because not only do your parents not agree with your relationship, I don't think her parents agreed with her being with a white guy, right? The hell is like that?
That dynamic is a little different, actually. That was a little different. So we couldn't go to my place, and we couldn't go to her place. So we had my van.
Yeah.
And
but like, how does that work? How do you push against the grain of your parents? I can assume that they were pushing against this as you.
Sure. I mean, times have changed.
Yeah.
But like I said, Garrettson, and I don't know how to speak on it. I don't want to paint my parents in any bad light.
No.
But like early,
and before you keep going, a lot of people will have this issue with not wanting to speak on. Like how you say you don't want to speak on your parents, but the matter of the fact is we can't control how our parents were raised. We can't control what was instilled with them through their parents. We can only try and
what they've gone through.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? My dad did time in like the early 70s.
Yeah.
Like it was either late 60s or early 70s. This is racial tension is at a high.
Yeah.
That was then. It's still bad now, but like then it was even more like overt. And it was definitely, there's a lot of trials and tribulations and personal awakenings because, when we're born and we go to school and we grow up, we're indoctrined, we're programs. There's things we're taught. There's things in the media that just like condition the way you view the world. And those things need to be challenged because you need to challenge your own biases. You got to realize, you got to open your eyes. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different American experience. This country doesn't treat everybody the same. And, I can't be a true partner, and I can't be in love with a black woman and not be awake and aware of all of this history of oppression and all this, discrimination and everything. And like everything, you gotta wake up, you gotta understand, you gotta see what it is. You gotta really like reevaluate everything. And there was a lot of pushback on me. At this point in my life, people realize Roger's going to do what Roger's going to do.
Yeah.
And he's going to love who he's going to love. But like early on, I remember being young and my dad was like, I want pink grandkids. He said, I want pink grandkids.
White.
Yeah. And he was like, you understand what I'm saying? And I was 17 when he told me that. And I was kind of like, that kind of didn't sit well with me. You know what I mean?
Especially going to like Edward R. Murrow. Like, I mean, you didn't go to school in Garrison. I don't know what schools are down there, but like you kind of like you went a little bit farther into like Flatbush.
Yeah,
area.
I mean, a lot of you go to if you live in Garrison, you either go to Catholic school or you go to like, Marine Park or something like that.
Yeah.
Edward R. Murrow, that school just
seemed a lot cooler.
It was so much cooler.
Yeah.
It was just like a performance arts school, and I was a performance arts kid. So it allowed me to flourish. Actually, I didn't really get into it until my sophomore year because my sister said, you got to do this. And I was a little punk, and I had too much energy and not enough places to put it in a positive
I don't know how
way.
well you would have done in Catholic school. I think you would have been a menace.
Probably.
But in a funny way.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Murrow just, that's where I really got to come into myself and find myself. And I realized a lot of things that I love and what I love to do. And I'm still doing them years later. So I'm grateful for that. And, we're still currently in a tense, tough, hard time. And you know, we gotta just like I have to be like anti-racist actively. I have to be an ally. I have to be aware. I have to be able to speak on it. You know what I mean? And that's just something that, you know, just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
You can't enjoy this culture and only enjoy the fun parts, the party parts. I can't love hip hop and not be aware, you know, of Public Enemy and the impact that they had on music and the impact they had on the world. Yeah. You know, things like that. So I got a bar. It's like, you know, I'm a hometown hero, but my heart is Public Enemy, because where I'm from, everybody is, like I said, cops. Yeah. Firefighters.
The opposite of what
garbage men, civil servants, and these positions are looked at in the highest regard, the most respect, and in a time like this where people are being called out on their shit, and you know the truth is rising to the surface, and it's kind of undeniable what kind of systemic racism exists, and the way different people are treated. You know what I mean? A kid shoots up a church. And they give him a bottle of water, and they give him Burger King on the way to the jail. A dude has a picnic in the park with his family and has the cops called on him. Yeah, and we know that that can escalate, and that could be an act of harm. You know what I mean? Like that's dangerous. So I don't know.
I mean, what was Garrison? What was? I mean, are you living in Garrison still, or are you kind of are you out of there now? Because I remember you were on your own. You were living in another spot for a little bit. Right?
Yeah, I was living in Fort Greene for a while. Yeah. And I've been living in Canarsie for a while, Canarsie, Brooklyn. Okay. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I would say that it's more open-minded now than it has ever been. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a small town, super small neighborhood. I love it with my whole heart. You know, it's been, the people of Garrettson have been hiring me for kids' parties, and I can't speak down on it, but everybody kind of they learn, and they get more compassion, and they get more empathy at different stages. They wake up at different times. And yeah, man, with all that being said, I want to give a quick fuck Trump. For real though.
I would say let's cheers that, but you want a little bit more?
Yeah, sure, I'm okay.
You want a little bit?
But yeah, I want to make sure I'm on the right side of history, and that I'm one of the good guys, and I'm a part of the solution. I'm not a part of the problem. I'm a part of the evolution. I'm a part of, like, you know, people being thinking a little deeper than just what they're taught.
I'm pouring this a little.
You know,
I look so weird pouring this.
Nah, you're cool. You're cool.
Just looks a little. I just like angle is a little weird. Let's talk about being a super sprout.
A super sprout.
Talk to me about this, man. Because okay, we graduated college 2013, and then next thing I see, this guy is traveling the country as a super. What were you? You were the broccoli, right?
No, man. I was the human.
You were the you were the host. Yes,
I was the host.
Yes. So super sprouts. Let's talk about it.
Okay, cool.
What was it?
So check this out. There's this guy named Josephus Tud. He's a retired Marine. I love you, Joe, if you ever see this. And he said, Raj, I'm shooting for this company. You got to come and check them out. Yeah. You got to meet these people, because he knows I do the kids parties, and it was this company called Super Sprouts. And I go there, and I'm just meeting people, and I don't even realize at the time that I'm talking to this lady who's the CEO. And it was like a casual interview that we just had in conversation. And right after that, it was a show. It was kind of like Sesame Street, like that, how they were teaching you how to read it with the puppets and the humans. Yeah, that's the vibe I got from it. In this case, it was teaching you about nutrition and eating vegetables and eating, you know what I mean, like a healthier lifestyle, and trying to make vegetables cool. Yeah. Like you can eat your superpowers. You eat broccoli, you get super strong. You eat carrots, you get laser vision. You know what I'm saying? And so they hired me, and my first job with them, we did a big show in Las Vegas. Then we came back, and then we did a tour around America. Yeah. And that was like one of the most grueling, intense experiences of my life. So right after college, that was my first job.
Yeah. And what is that like? What was it like? What was it touring the country as a host of a super sprout, of a host of a cartoon show? Yeah. Or not a cartoon. They weren't cartoons. It was real.
It was puppets. Yeah. Puppets. And it was mascot characters.
Mascot characters.
People in the suits and things.
And
we were doing
you're literally teaching kids that by eating vegetables, they can have superpowers.
Yo, I just took a trip to Philly, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, my friend was like, have you ever been to Philly? And I was like, yeah, I've been to Philly one time, because we did a show there at Super Sprouts. And so I'll never forget, like, we did shows. So we were doing live shows throughout the country. Yeah. I think it was like 26 or 27 cities in like under a month. Okay. So it's a dense, tight, hard schedule.
Show, back on the bus, go. Show, back on the bus.
Go. I lost 10 pounds in a month from stress and like poor eating and overworking.
Yeah.
And we did a show in Philly. I will never forget it. And it always makes me smile when I think about it, because we did this show. You know, we got there early. We set it up. All the kids came in the auditorium. A lot of kids. Big show. Big audience. I come in on the skateboard. You know, I do my cartwheels. Are you guys ready? Da, da, da. I do my whole thing. And then at the end of the show, we realized, because we were shooting a documentary as we were doing this tour, and we learned that after I do a live show and we wanted to interview kids and stuff, they would be much more receptive and open to talking after the show, because they see me being silly and having fun and working out with the superhero vegetables, Brian Broccoli, Colby Carrot. And there was this one kid, and I'll never forget his face. I was like, yeah, man, what you eat affects how you feel. It affects how you perform. He was like, I want to be a basketball player. I was like, you got to train hard and you got to eat right. And I was telling him about the vegetables. I'll never forget this little kid. And he might have been like 6 or 7 years old. He was like, it's so simple. And I remember just like laughing off of that like for years. Still now to this day, man.
Yo, it's so funny. I mean, ever since I got a nephew, my appreciation for little kids has grown so much. Like once you see a kid grow from small to big, and you see their personality. Yeah, it's like, it's opened you up, and I can't even imagine, man. Like just traveling. What's the craziest? Tell me some of the craziest things if you can remember. I'm sure you have a memory box of some of the crazier things kids have said or done at these events.
I did a show in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the auditorium was like all torn up. The chairs were messed up. They didn't even have enough money in the school for gym class. Gym class had been cut, and that was like, what? Yeah. Come on, what? Like, it's just as important to be aware and be physical as it is to be mental and strong and stuff like that. And the kids were like, they were harder to win over. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I remember this little girl who was just not having it. I tried to call her as a volunteer, and she just gave me so much attitude, and I gave her attitude. Yeah. And it was like, became like this competition kind of thing, and it was really funny. And I did a show in a barn in where is it? New Orleans at a barn for like 12 kids in a barn. And then I did a show in Texas for like,
and this is all recorded too,
all
right?
recorded. Okay, a lot of it's recorded. Yeah. I did a show in Texas for like 900 kids. Yeah. And they were all seated on the floor. And I remember the first thing I'm thinking, like, damn, these kids are well behaved. Yeah. We didn't even have, there was just like an ocean of them. And I remember coming out on the board and like doing a move, and then feeling the whole audience be like, react to me. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, whoa, this is intense. This is a wild energy right here I got going on. And man, what can I tell you, dude? I was in South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. I met Loaded Lux that night, actually, in South by South. And I also met another rapper based out of Brooklyn, Red Hook, Brooklyn, a guy named Chris Casanova. I don't know if you'll ever see this.
I do know the name.
Yeah, Chris Casanova. And
I know Loaded Lux. If you're famous, if you know battle rap, you know Loaded Lux.
You know Loaded Lux. Yeah. He's a legendary Harlem repping battle rapper. Yeah. And there's just so many stories. I mean, what's one?
Let's talk about going to DC.
Okay. All right. Okay. You want this story?
You want to give it to me there? Or you want to tell me another story first? It looks like you had another story that you had in mind.
This is, of the stories of tour, of the stories I can remember, this is the one. Okay. This is possibly the coolest story I have to tell.
Let's hear it. I'm not even going to say anything.
Okay.
Just listen to it.
So, we're doing a show at an elementary school in DC, and Michelle Obama is going to perform with us. The whole tour, the whole time, we always knew about this. You know what I mean? We had to security.
And let's keep this in mind. This is when she was in office.
This is when Michelle Obama is in office. This is during the time she was on the Let's Move initiative, which was just trying to get the country healthy.
Active,
Yeah, obesity is an issue. You know what I'm saying? Diabetes, like, we got lots of problems. We eat too much. We don't train enough. We're not healthy. And the way the stars aligned was for me and Michelle to do a show. So the day of, security's top tier, dogs come, sniff our van, sniff our trailer, pat it down, security checks, going through we did a whole run through of the show. We had a stand in for Michelle. So the first time I would ever see her was at the live show in real time. Yeah. So, and now I had been at the school for a while before the show happened. We looked at the two different spaces. I did a little mini show for this younger group of kids. Then I did another show for this other group of kids. And one of my instructions was don't touch her. That was like one of the things. And I was like, okay, cool. I can understand that. And keep your space. So we're doing the show. I got the superhero vegetables with me. There's like a crowd of a couple kids in front of me. And then in the room, it's in like a classroom. There's a bunch of news
all
cameras
around the back.
all around the back of the wall. So just to give you a setup, just to set the tone. So I introduce her. There's footage of this. This is on video. I'm like, Michelle Obama. She comes out. Woo! Crowd goes wild. I get hyped. Oh my God. Michelle Obama? The first lady of the United States? Never in my life did I think I would be here.
Yeah.
So she comes out. I'm like, I get so excited. I do this move. I go. I just like grab myself to contain my energy. And I was like introducing her. She gave me a little high five, you know. We did a good little workout. We did a great job. It was a good show. The kids laughed. The people were laughing. The music hit. Like we were doing our dance moves. She danced. We worked out. We did a fun little show together.
And people who are there watching, they can just search Super Sprouts Michelle Obama. It'll probably come up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And and these little kids are dancing with us. They're having a good time. They don't even know it's Michelle. I mean, maybe they probably.
I'm sure they know Michelle Obama. But they don't know the importance of the They can't. They're too young to grasp the importance. They know she's an important person, but the fact that they're in the same room, they don't.
So remember this moment because this is a 2-part story. This is part 1.
All right.
Okay, and we're also going to Quentin Tarantino the story and cut back to the beginning and then come back to where we are in order for it to make sense towards the end.
All right.
Stick with me. The show was a success. Claps all around. Everything's great. We go into another room with this younger group of kids. And remember I told you I did the show with the younger group of kids and this other group of kids at this one point? So Michelle is going, there's a bunch of kids eating carrots and hummus at the tables, and Michelle's going table to table, and this is a part of the day that I was not instructed upon what to do.
Yeah.
So I'm on the back with all the news anchors and, all the cameras and stuff like that. And the director of events, this woman, I forget her name, she signaled for me to go and interact. She was like, go do the thing, go do this. She did like this gesture, right? So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I try to do like a Looney Tunes type of thing, where they cut like a slice of the cake and then the guy says thanks and they take the cake and leave the slice.
Yeah.
I tried to do something like that. They were like dipping hummus and broccoli. I said, all right, thanks guys. So I took like a dip of like a broccoli with some hummus and I like gave it to Michelle and then I took the whole tray and I walked away. And like, yo, you're laughing, but at the time the joke didn't hit because she was so focused. Like, I think it missed the mark. And I was like, damn. So I came back. We had a quick little laugh about it. And then at this little table with all these little kids, there was this little girl. I'll never forget her face, and I'll never forget the way that she sounded. She was like, show Michelle the picture we drew earlier. And earlier in the day, I was with these kids. We were drawing pictures. I drew a picture of Brian Broccoli, one of the characters in the show. And I was like, great idea. But the picture that we drew was in the other room. So what did I do? I ran out of the room. And then I ran into the other room. And
they lost sight of you, so they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And then I started running back into the room to show Michelle the picture. But there's Secret Service everywhere. There's security, there's this and that. And before I could get back into the room to show the picture, this dude stops me, 2 hands on my chest, puts me up against the wall, tells me I need to calm down, pats me down, got me down. What are you doing? I'm like, I have to show Michelle this picture. When the first lady's in the room, you can't run in and out of the room. You can't make any sudden movements. You can't do anything that's not in the program.
Yeah.
So we had a little scare, and I'm definitely on a list somewhere. And somebody definitely hacked into my email and deleted some messages at one point in time. And I went back and I showed Michelle the picture and we laughed about it. The little girl laughed about it. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Overall, the day was a huge success. And I will never forget it. And I'm so honored to have been a part of this moment in time.
Dude, I remember watching that and being like what the fuck is Roger
doing,
dude? Like, you look at him, I look at you, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yo.
We just graduated college, now this dude's fucking hanging out with Michelle Obama. I was like, what the hell?
All right, check this out. And this is great because we're going to even go back to the Easter story where I was an EMT in the Bronx.
Yeah.
So now it's a year later from when me and you were hosting Who's on Deck, when I was trying to be a firefighter, when I was in the EMT. And now it's Easter, and I go to this Easter egg roll show at the White House in D.C. Okay, so grasp that. Also, I want just a little sidebar. If you've ever listened to Skyscrapers, the Big Sean album, there's a bar where he talks about seeing Jim Carrey at the White House.
Yeah.
And I was at the White House that day on the lawn. I saw Big Sean perform, and I saw Jim Carrey reading books to kids.
Oh.
And I know that when he made that bar, it was in reference to that day. And I just feel cool because I was there.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
But then, okay, so check this out. So I'm walking through the lawn, and I gotta go get somebody at an entrance and to sign them in, right? All of a sudden, Secret Service guys come up, back us all. I'm walking through a crowd. Bunch of dudes come up and push us back. You gotta move back. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Going on? They push us back. Guess who's coming down the line to greet all these people? Take a guess.
Michelle Obama.
No.
Who?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama?
Barack Obama, ladies and gentlemen.
What?
Barack Obama.
All right.
I'm so thoroughly shook.
So I'm interested in
So I'm in a crowd right now. They blocked us all off. I'm in like a line like this. Barack's coming down the line, and he's just like clapping hands and people want to take pictures with him, and he's like, "Stop, come on!" He's doing his Barack thing. He's just clapping people, right? So he gets up. He comes to me, and mind you, I just did that show with Michelle. It was only like a month prior.
Yeah.
So he comes to me. He's just giving high fives to people. He gets to me, right? He grabs my hand. I do this to him. I grab his hand like this. I go, I was that guy with Michelle and the vegetables. I was that guy dancing with Michelle. And you know what he says? I saw that. Great work. He says that. I go, oh! I just freak out, man. Yeah. I just can't keep my cool. And he kind of like lets me go. He like pushes me up. He's like, okay, all right, okay, can I go? Come on, man. And he like tries to calm me down. So I'm just like, oh my God, dude. He saw it. He said, great work. Michelle must have gone home to him that night and said, yo, I met this crazy, goofy guy with curly hair. He was dancing around. So so Barack keeps walking. I'm elated right now. I can't believe this. I never thought I'd meet the president. Are you kidding me? I'm a kid from Garrison Beach. I thought I was going to be a firefighter. Yeah. I'm out here dancing with superhero vegetables at the White House. Now, Michelle is starting to walk down the line. This is my second time meeting her.
Yeah.
I'm bracing myself. I'm like, oh my God. It's Michelle Obama. I'm more excited for Michelle than I was even for Barack. I'm looking at her come. She's coming down the line. She sees me and she does one of these. She goes, oh. She puts up her hands. She's much more warm and embracing than she was at the school.
Yeah.
Because at the school,
she didn't know who the hell you were.
She had to be focused on tunnel vision. Now this is my second time seeing her, and me and her had a whole little day together of doing these shows for kids. So I see her. She gives me a big hug. She goes, oh. And then I go, oh. Like I yell, ah. And then she's like, okay. She gives me a hug. I'm talking about a deep hug. I'm talking
full arm wrap.
I'm talking about I got long arms. Yeah, I got a grip on this lady. Yeah. She was like my height, by the way. She's a gorgeous knockout, powerful presence, huge. Yeah. I'm in there. I'm holding her like this. We're literally snuggled up. My jaw and my eyes are. I'm just like, I'm like losing it, man. And we just let each other go. We just had such a nice warm embrace. And then the day went on. And this is my Michelle Obama story.
That's crazy, dude. That's insane.
True story. Like never in a million years.
And that was you just did the one tour with them, right?
I did that one tour with them, and then I continued to work with them, and then we had a YouTube series. There's YouTube episodes of the show. I wrote the scripts for the show. You can check them out.
I do remember that. Yeah. In the kitchen, right?
It's in the kitchen. Yeah. It's Super Sprouts. What was it? Cooking Raw with the Super Sprouts. It was basically me and a bunch of Food Network people. Yeah. Like have them on as guests. You know who came on as a guest on the show?
Who?
Sway from Sway in the Morning. Yeah, I wrote a script and he read it and acted it out with the puppets, man. That episode never aired. But when I met, let's just do a quick little dive in. When I met Sway, I was also extremely excited. He was a guest on the show. I took out my phone because I wanted to play instrumental and rap for him. He thought I was trying to look at my bars. He was like, nah, man, you can't do that. I was like, nah, man, look at this. Boop. And I played an instrumental. Yeah. I believe it was I Got a Story to Tell by B.I.G., one of my favorite instrumentals to freestyle to. And he was impressed, and then we had a great day. We had a great show, and I'll never forget that. And I'm also a Christmas elf for Viacom for their holiday parties. And I saw him leaving Viacom one day, and I just said, yo, Sway, man, it's so great to meet you. I met you on the show. It's great to see you. I love what you do, man. And I just had that nice moment with him. And then he commented on my videos sometimes of me dancing. So like I'm on his radar, and like a lifelong dream and goal of mine is to be on that show and to just like to really, really destroy the Five Fingers of Death. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
So that's.
Before I go into my next story about you, I have a funny little interjection on that. I remember when we were doing the radio show, we were doing Who's on Deck. I got called in for an internship interview at Sway in the Morning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and forgot my resume.
Oh. the one thing you need. That's
I
important.
got my resume, dude. This is like I was also going upstate after I think I had like a family member just pass. There was a lot of shit going on, but I walked into the thing, and it was my first ever interview. So I was just like, wait, I sent you my resume. Like, don't you have it?
Ooh.
I didn't know you had to bring your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Come on, what is this? Hard copies?
I thought this was
paper.
I knew it wasn't a job. I thought I was looking at it different. But anyways, after the Super Sprout stuff, I was fully tuned in for the Rock when you were working with Dwayne. You were doing that Dwayne Johnson like promo run thing. What was that? You were trying to it was the chance to be in a match with him.
It was the chance to have you. So the Rock had just dropped his YouTube channel.
Yeah,
big deal. YouTube being one of the big online content creators. And he did a challenge. He did a competition called Rock the Promo. And it was basically a smack talk competition. Who could talk the most smack? And it was like, like a tournament. And they would rank them and votes and things like that. And they would judge us. And I made it. So
I know. My mom, my sister, and I were all tuned into your videos. My mom and sister also love you, by the way.
Shout out
They
to
watch your
they
watch your motivational Monday videos and stuff that you
that's awesome, man. I got to start doing those again. I've been a little low key. But so this is the Rock, and basically he wanted to generate content and subscribers and bring attention to his YouTube channel. Yeah. And at the time, and still really now, I'm not really popping on YouTube, but I was a part of a competition that I forget, it was WWF or WWE. They did a show. There's a show called Tough Enough, and it's another smack talk promo competition style show. So I did that one. And then when the time, and I got pretty far in that one too. And that was to be a wrestler. If you won that, you would go on to be a professional wrestler and they would train you. And I got far in that, but I didn't make it to the final round. And then when The Rock did this Smack Talk competition, I took the same character that I created for that thing, like Roger Hanson, Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
Me like throwing kicks in my Timbs, just being wow.
I remember one of your promo videos, I swear to God, I think you slid 25 feet on wet pavement.
People bring that up to me all the time.
Your intro, you just come out, you just like run from
Grand Army Plaza. You know that fountain?
Oh my God.
The ground was like slippery, so I just like slide out.
Slide into the camera, bro. I swear to God, you must have slid like 25 feet.
Yo, of like all the cool stories of all the things that I do that people like and enjoy, for some reason that slide is like one of the most popular things people bring up to me. And you know what? I went back to Grand Army Plaza, the place where I shot the video.
Yeah.
And I tried to find the slippery spot, and I couldn't find it again. I was like, damn, man, how the hell did I slide like that?
It was this moment, dude. It was meant to be in that moment of that promo.
I suppose so.
I don't think you could, if you would have tried to do it again, I don't think it would have worked.
No, I did, and it didn't.
Yeah.
And so whatever, man. So that was a Rock the Promo challenge, and I made it to the next stage that I was supposed to go on. I honestly feel like I was robbed, bro. Like I wanted to keep going.
I do too.
I thought.
Who's the guy that you lost to?
Well, I love these guys. His name is AJ Kirsch, and his character was Broseph Joe Brody. And he is a wrestling commentator and wrestler. He's in the business and he's incredible. And me and him went on to become friends actually. But he's the dude that ended up winning the competition. Much respect and much deserving. And then next to him was Ari, this kid named Ari, and this dude named Glenn. And they were a tag team called Sweet Revenge. Mm-hmm. And I was, at the end they paired you up with somebody and it was like 2-on-2 versus 2-on-2. And I didn't make the cut. But damn, son, I was this close to meeting The Rock. And this is after Super Sprouts. This is after that whole ship sank and I wasn't doing that anymore. And I thought this was going to be my ticket. I thought this was my next thing that's going to put Raj and set me off. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that crazy how that shit works? Like we all have those. I've had those things too where I was like, this is the next. This is it.
Right.
This you thought this is the
thing that's going to push me.
This is the thing that's going to make it to the next level. And this is the thing that's going to make me a little bit more comfortable with my journey, and then boom, it's taken away or something happens.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing to realize is that it just wasn't meant to happen. Do you feel like that, or do you think, do you ever like sit back and think like, as far as like Super Sprouts or the Rock stuff goes, like, do you ever sit back and be like, damn, I should have did this differently, I should have done that differently, or is it kind of just like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Now, more things are coming to you, and
eventually you got to accept it. You got to take whatever happens and just move forward. But there are moments where I'm like, oh, shoulda, woulda, could have done it this way, could have done it better.
I think everybody has that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And, I thought Tough Enough was going to be the thing. If I won that competition and they were gonna train me to be a professional wrestler, I would have took that.
Yeah.
I would have did it, man. Because I'm a physical comedian, slapstick. I take hits, I fall, I do this stuff all the time. I'm about that life. I'm a little older now. I'm a little beat up and rugged.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Let's talk about that too. Physical comedy.
Yeah.
What like so what? The only person I can think of like physical comedy and you know who I'm gonna say. I don't know if you think you know who I'm gonna say.
Jim Carrey?
No.
Chris
Farley. I was like, when I look at you and I think of physical comedians, I think of Chris Farley doing the van by the river.
River by the van.
Oh yeah, the van.
Yeah, the van by the river. Of course. I mean,
like falling through the tables
on,
and just
man.
working, using
dude.
his body.
Absolutely.
What is that like? I mean, have you run into a lot of like shit with your body? Have you know?
Yes.
And I know you train. I know you work out. I know you're a physical trainer on top of all the other million things that you do. But.
Yeah, but physical training came about because I had injured myself doing physical comedy so many times, and I constantly had to like stretch and like rehab myself back to health. And I like working out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was chubby growing up, so getting fit and learning to exercise is a great journey, and it's still a really big part of me. But I I'm 31.
I'm almost 30, man.
This shoulder has been through too much. This wrist has been through too much. This tailbone, this knee, this ankle. You know how many times I pulled my neck just dancing? 3. The answer is 3. That's how hard I party.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll do anything for a laugh. And I practice these moves. I have moves that I go to. I slip on banana peels. I bang my head into walls. That's why I keep my hair nice and long, because it has like an echo effect. It's like a cartoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you like, you hit something and then the hair kind of moves with it. It's up right now, but you normally see me. I got my big hair out. And, I get laughs. It's all for laughs and a good time. And that's my job. So as a kid's entertainer and as a slapstick comedian, it's a very signature style. And I like to work on it and hone my craft. And, I look to all the greats.
Yeah.
I look to Chris Farley. I look to Jim Carrey. I look to, anybody who's The Rock. You ever see The Rock take a Stone Cold Stunner? He'll sell the shit out of that thing, man. He'll rock and doink and all that stuff. That's what I like to do. I did backyard wrestling, man. I'm physical, dude. I need to be hands-on. I like rugged and rough. I like knocking around. I like being knocked around a little bit. So... yeah, so that's still with me, and I'm still here. I'm a personal trainer now. Like, that's one of the main big things I'm doing right now, and that helps me maintain. The physicality is a big part of it. I'm very physical.
Yeah,
and that's how I like to be.
And you talk about willing to do anything for a laugh. In my head, that makes me think, to touch a little bit more on something a little bit more personal. One thing, and I have other people in my life who I've realized who I think are similar along the same lines, but you seem to be like a super positive, I'm happy all the time type of dude, right? And in my head, I know, or at least what I think, that's not true. It can't be possible. I feel like and speaking of Jim Carrey, going all the stuff that he's publicly said about his mental health and happiness and things like that. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with being this, positive? I'm with the kids and I have to be strong. I have to be funny. I have to get laughs.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that when you're not feeling good? How does that, what do you have darkness that comes over you? Like, what I mean?
I tell you what, I've been doing kids parties since I'm 18.
Yeah.
I've been a kids entertainer. It's a very special job that I have. People invite me into their house to be a goofball for their kids.
Yeah.
I'm in living rooms doing cartwheels and falling into Christmas trees. When I was 21, I was really sad. I was like really sad. And the thing is, when people see me, they go, Raj, they want to give me food and drink. They want to party.
Because they see you like this.
Yeah, because I've always presented myself
that
like
way.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I really am a positive, optimistic dude. But as you age, the world beats you down. It's cold, it's hard, it's mean, it's unfair, it doesn't work, things don't work out, and you got to learn that and adjust that and accept that. And there was a time between the age of like 21 to 22, actually, and this is a good segue because this is when I was coming into Brooklyn College, actually. I was very depressed.
Yeah.
And I acted like I was happy because that's what people saw me as, and that's what they wanted me to be.
And that's what you thought they expected.
Yeah, so I want to be that guy for people, but I'm actually not feeling good. And that was my first real taste of like how important mental health is. Because if you are not okay and you are acting like you're okay for a long time, it's very unhealthy. It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Brad
saying?
and I talked about that last episode. I talked about the importance of being an open person.
Right, which is what I feel I am more now, and I'm much more in tune with it. You know what I mean? And I had to get a grasp of that. And honestly, around 21, that's when I gave myself the name Normal, and I decided to take rap serious because as a kid's entertainer, my name is a big silly guy. I didn't want to call myself a clown. I just call myself a big silly guy. And under that umbrella, I have a couple characters: the elf, the pirate, the ninja, Cupid, a leprechaun, whatever, you know. And everybody, when people saw me outside of doing these costumes and all this wild, ridiculous entertainment stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, I never saw you normal."
Yeah.
Oh, look at you, you're normal.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, normal. Okay, you know what I mean? So that word stuck with me. How what normal is, what normal means to you, what normal means to me, what normal means to you. It's different for everybody. It's perspective, it's time, it's culture, it's really relative, you know? So that's when I gave myself the name Normal Young Man, because in my eyes, I was just a normal young man. And when I got to Brooklyn College, coming out of Kingsborough and transferring over, I was like, I wrote my first, like forever, I just freestyled. I never wrote nothing down. The first piece that I ever wrote down really took me out of a dark place. And once I performed that, I performed it at Brooklyn College, and everybody heard it, and they were singing along by the time I was done with the song. This is the first time they ever heard it. And it really resonated and connected, and it clicked with them. And once I spit that piece, my pain was gone and my sadness was gone, and I felt better. And that's when I was like, damn, son, this music thing is really powerful.
Yeah.
I think I need this because I can't always be the funny guy. I can't always be super positive. I can't always be.
It's exhausting, dude.
It weighs on you. You know those people who are super happy all the time? You look at them.
I know people like that, and I'm like, there's no way you're really this happy.
There's something wrong. You think there's something wrong with them.
There's something wrong, dude. There's always a darkness behind that, and it's like, I've seen it time and time again. The people that are always on this positive, upbeat vibe, and it's just like, dude, it's just not possible. It would be impossible to live in a complete stress-free world.
Nobody's happy all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's funny all the time. Nobody's silly all the time.
Yeah.
We all got sadness. We all got shortcomings. We all got failures. We all got things that hurt us. You know? And that was a real hard lesson for me to learn. And that's when I started getting serious. Yeah. Like 21, 22. And then I was like, all right, I'm a rapper now. I'm an MC. I've been in this world. I've been going to these ciphers for a long time. For a long time, I didn't even have a name. I was just a guy, like a spectator. They would call me Kurt Angle. They would call me Captain America. They would call me John Cena. Yeah. Everybody would crack jokes on me because I look like such an all-American, like square chin jock. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm this like colorful, creative character who sucks at all sports, but is like talented in a way that's hard to explain or express. You know what I'm saying? But I'm good at freestyling.
You are, and also your confidence oversteps your lack of I would say when you first started, like your lack of not feeling comfortable rapping or writing or whatever yet. Yeah, your confidence like weighs more. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's what people appreciate more about you. Right. Especially when you first started, because now I've seen like how much better your raps have gone since the time we've met. And I was watching a couple of your freestyles, the one you did at the gym or at the park when you were working out or something. You were like on the bars. I think Brandon was recording it.
Probably.
Yeah, it was a old school beat. I forgot what beat it was. I don't know if it was an original or not. But
I mean, we only get better with time. Yeah. If we stay close to our craft, you know. So never drift too far away from it. But rap really saved my life. Yeah.
I won't say rap saved my life. I would say music definitely has played a part in it. I can't necessarily just say rap. Nah. You know what I mean? But like just music in general, man. I mean, and it's weird for me too because I didn't really come from a music family. Like nobody, I never like grew up in the house with like music playing. Mm-hmm. Like I don't, and to this day, it like kind of freaks me out to where I got this from. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like where I got this like knack for music from. Because I even noticed it when I was a kid growing in upstate New York in the middle of the woods. Like I always felt there. I always liked rap music for some reason. Like you know what I mean? I remember when I was
cool to you, man.
Yeah, it was just cool to me. It was just cool. I used to come home from school, like summer school, and be so excited to watch TRL. You know what I mean? When music videos was shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like Hypnotize was when I saw the Hypnotize video and Biggie riding on a fucking boat with like Diddy and shit, and I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where that even came from for me, you know?
Dude, you're just a kid, man.
I used to sneak into my sister only likes country music now, which I don't get. I mean, I kind of get. She lives upstate. Whatever.
To each his own.
To each his own. She likes Garth Brooks.
My dad loves country. My sister loves country.
I think I still credit my sister to this day as the one who like put me on to hip hop, because when I was probably in like 3rd, 4th grade, she had grab some.
Why not, man?
Yeah, of course.
By the way, shout out to P. Castles bringing the JMO and the ginger.
Unofficially sponsored by Jameson.
Unofficially sponsored by Jameson.
Jameson.
Before
Jameson. This camera right here. Jameson.
JMO. It makes everything better.
Yes, sir.
We used to sip. Remember, I used to have a flask.
Bro, we used to smoke weed on campus during the ciphers. We would be smoking spliffs in the crowd like this, like
on.
People
That's bad, man. That's bad.
On campus.
Yo, and we also used to take a swig of JMO before every episode of Who's on Deck. I used to have a flask. I used to take a little swig, and it just kind of was like a little tradition. Set the tone. Grease the wheels.
And you know what's so cool about this podcast too is there's no censorship, man. Remember when we were on Brooklyn College? Like when we were on Brooklyn College,
couldn't curse.
We couldn't curse. It is not even that I want to curse, dude. It was for me. It was just the music. As a DJ, like I used to have to spend hours.
Oh yeah.
Because I always wanted to be different. I wanted to play songs that nobody could play, because everybody would be playing radio friendly songs on their show at school, and I would just go out of my way to like make these horrible edits of like. Like the explicit version would be like, like when it would be a curse word or something like,
yeah,
and just to make sure that things were cool. And now that we're here, we can just say whatever the hell we want. This is a open format.
Free speech, man. You created your own you created your own platform.
It feels good.
I'm honored to be here, by the way.
I appreciate you coming here. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. It was important to me too, because I got sick of being comfortable, and I know you can understand that. And also shout out to you too, because you're definitely somebody who I've looked at as like inspiration as far as like being more open and being okay with being comfortable with who I am as a person. I see you, and I definitely like draw inspiration from
That's
you.
Awesome, man.
No, for real.
That's the best thing. Like, that's a great impact.
No, like legit. That's true shit. And I think
inspiration makes the world go round. That's fuel for a creative like you.
Yeah, and I needed to get the ball rolling. I was just getting too comfortable just sitting around, doing nothing, and I was I'm working, doing my thing and whatever. But
you needed something.
I needed something to get the ball rolling, and
you need to feed your soul.
Yes, I did.
You needed to talk some shit. You needed to be in the sphere of music and creativity.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next? What's next for you? What's going on?
Well, right now, primarily, I'm a personal trainer. I work at a Blink, and I train a lot of people virtually online. I got a really cool gig right now where I'm the head coach on a special needs ski and snowboarding team for this company called the Adaptive Sports Foundation.
Okay.
And it empowers special needs individuals through fitness. I mean, if you couldn't cook up a more
can you tell people where to find all this stuff also?
Well, I mean, if you're watching, I post up. I don't remember what their Instagram is. My Instagram is Roger Hanson Official.
Yeah, I'll have your stuff we'll have your stuff in the bio for sure.
Plug it up, and I post them up now and then. I post a motivational video for them once a week, and I'm contracted to do that for at least like another 7 weeks.
Okay.
So that's like that's where I'm putting my focus on right now, because this is my job. I'm a trainer. I'm a virtual trainer. I'm an in-person trainer. And I'm still doing kids' parties. I'm still dressing up. It's quarantine. It's Corona. Things have slowed down. Everything is much smaller. I stay low. Like, I don't even post on social when I'm doing kids' parties now, because I don't want people to be like, yo, kids or germs or this or that. I want to follow protocol. I wear a mask. I keep my distance. We're all outside. You know what I'm saying?
And hey, man, the parents are booking you at the end of the day. It's their part. It's their choice.
And you know what? Listen, parents need a break. I'm basically like a glorified babysitter. I just got to keep these kids laughing and engaged for an hour
while they go
hours.
Inside and drink out of red cups.
Man.
Get a little liquor going.
Yeah, mom and dad need a break.
Yeah.
So they hire a big silly guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, so that's I'm kind of low right now. I'm just kind of coasting. I don't have something big.
You working on music or?
Here's the thing. During Corona, I decided. That I used to always carry notebooks. You see me. I got my notebooks right here.
Yep.
And I was telling Erickson before we started shooting, like, this is number 36. This is my 36th marble notebook. My sister gave me this one. You know what I'm saying? And, I got a picture of my niece. I got whatever bars I'm writing, some drawings. I'm always drawing. I got lots of stuff going on in here, right? Bars, clients, ABSG. That stands for a big silly guy. I got to follow up with all my clients.
Okay.
So I think I started in 2015 numbering my books chronologically because it helps me. It centers me. I write my bars in there. And I've been trying to go through all my old books and like transposing the bars so I can have like a master list. And I'm currently in this book right here. Before I started numbering them, this is book number, this doesn't have a number, but this was in 2014. This is right after I came back from tour. This is the book that I took with me on tour. And when I came back from it, I got bars in here. I got bars about Steez in here, man, like all those Who's on Deck adventures that we had. And now I'm transposing all the lyrics from the book to over here. I'm kind of siphoning them out. And it's just so I have verses on deck because I have so much and so many lyrics and so many bars that I forgot what I've memorized. Yeah. Like verses get just like drifted into the cosmos. They get lost.
And when you go back and look in a notebook, you can just read one or two lines and kind of get back into it, or you kind of remember? Yeah.
Sometimes, but you see the evolution of an artist because I used to write without a beat. And if you don't write, for any aspiring MCs or artists or rappers or musicians out there, when you write, I mean, it's great to catch a thought if these words come to you, but write to the beat. Because if you write without a beat, when you try to force the bars onto the instrumental, it doesn't flow as smooth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you think that could be? I mean, you think that could vary from person to person? I'm
sure it does. Yeah. But it's definitely a lesson that I've learned.
Yeah, and for yourself.
Yeah, and it's
something to keep in mind.
A personal evolution. So I'm actually really not. I'm not putting out content as much as I normally would. When quarantine happened, I started doing workouts, Roger's Room in the afternoon. I was going live a bunch of times. Do you know the MC Supernatural? He's a freestyle god. He's like one of the best freestylers of all time. And as a freestyler, dude, he went live with me one time. And I just had it was like the most, this guy's like my hero, man. Yeah. Like I've watched him in documentaries. I've studied him. And I told him that. I was like in shock when he went live with me. And, like I want to stay close to my books and I want to finish transposing them. This is book number 36. This book right here is before I even started numbering them.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So I have a lot of homework to do.
Yeah.
And I've been transposing these books and putting all these lyrics in there. And for also, I mean, if I could give any tips to any MCs or artists out there to organize your thoughts and consolidate your work and, look at it out, because there's so much, it's so messy, so much gets lost. And there's nothing, Maya Angelou has a quote. She says, there's nothing, it's a sad thing for a story never to be told. And I have so many stories, and I have so many bars, and I have so much experience, and I have so many adventures just from being like a big goofy guy who freestyles growing up in Brooklyn, like trying to make a name for myself as an MC. You can imagine the shit I've gotten into, dude.
I can.
So
I feel like we could have like a whole show about that.
I'm saying, and it'll all eventually make sense and come to surface and come to light. And I really hope and pray that it all makes sense one day, because at this stage of my life, I'm looking back at everything I've done and I'm looking at all these adventures and I'm like, damn, man, like what does it all add up to?
Yeah.
Like, what am I really doing? You know what I'm saying? I want to
have your story, bro.
It's my story, but like,
you want to make it mean something.
I want to make it mean something, and we're only here for so much time.
Yeah.
I want to have a wife and kids. I need to say my piece and go all out and like put it out there and like say it down just to make peace within myself. Because my struggle as an artist was that people always knew me live. They always knew me for a live show. They always knew that I was good at freestyle. But I don't have a lot of songs. Mm-hmm. I don't have a project out.
Yeah.
Like you just had Radamiz on first episode. I admire the fuck out of that guy.
He's got a crazy work ethic.
Yo, he's incredible. First off, his skill set is top tier. I admire and respect you so much, dude. I've had many ciphers with this guy. Freestyle, fun, just for the sport, just for New York, just for the culture, just to keep it alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like outside and on like Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Like at like random shows. I was always that guy who would go to the show, and then after the show there would always be like a cipher or outside. Yeah. That was my sweet spot. You know what I'm saying?
Remember that at Brooklyn College when we did that show?
Dude.
When we did, it was the Dean's List tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a cipher after. After that we went to Applebee's.
Of course, man. and that's just classic. You know, Applebee's, dude. You can get the triple chocolate meltdown. You got the specials. I know the deals, dude. I used to go to Applebee's all the time.
Yeah.
That was a broke college kid's sweet spot.
In the Junction, man. Shout out to the Junction. Shout out to the Junction, bro.
Yo, Flatbush Junction. What up? Brooklyn College. What up?
Yeah.
How you doing? Peace and love.
I love that school, man. I tell people about that all the time, man. That was such a great moment.
Listen,
I would tell anybody who wants to go to like a nice school in Brooklyn or in the city in general. Brooklyn College is definitely a place to look at for sure.
Yo, just listen to the title, Brooklyn College. Bernie Sanders went there, man.
For sure, that's true. He did go there.
A lot of cool cats went there,
Yeah.
and that was such an interesting campus because on one side on Bedford Avenue, it was like a very like nice houses, and it was like more, it's just a different.
It's a weird. It's
You
block
go to
to
the
block,
other side.
dude.
You go on the other side. Also, there was at the time when me and you were doing Who's on Deck, there was such an element of anything can happen in the air.
Yeah.
The Flatbush Zombies were walking around.
Yep.
The Underachievers, Pro Era.
Yep.
That's Beast Coast right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So many MCs. Nick Caution. I mean, IOD. Chris Wise.
Yep.
All
Chris is definitely gonna be on here soon.
for sure. You gotta get him, dude.
Chris and I talked a couple weeks ago.
Chris is incredible, dude.
Yeah,
I love
love
Chris
Chris.
Wise. I've always loved his character integrity and his message and
His integrity is.
He's a very he's a man who walks in purpose.
Yeah.
And I really admire that. I think he's got a kid on the way, by the way.
He
Shout
does.
out to you, Chris Wise. I love you,
Chris.
bro. I'll give you a good deal, man. I'll make balloons animals at your kids'
Chris,
birthday.
you know who you got to book for the parties?
Yo, if you need a kids entertainer, man, I'll give you a good deal.
Hey.
We could rap afterwards too. And he does a lot of positive work.
Yeah.
Jackie Robinson Park.
Shout out Jackie Robinson. What's not? It's not the. Is it Jackie? What's the?
Jackie Robinson. I forget his building. His project building.
No. Ebbets Field.
Ebbets Field. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been meaning to. I gotta link him up with something because I have to give him a gift from Ebbets Field. I have like a little connection to that.
Cool.
But yo, man,
What else, dude?
I want to before we get out of here. I mean, we're definitely gonna get out of here in a second. But
All right.
if you feel comfortable,
what do
you know what
want
I'm gonna ask you to do.
You want me to freestyle?
Of course. You got anything that you want to say? Real
I
quick?
have no written material.
Dope, dude.
And I'm gonna tell you how I'm coming into this freestyle.
Oh, so it's happening. Okay.
Yeah, I can freestyle, man. I don't care, man.
All right, let's do
I
it.
can't call myself an artist and a freestyle cat if I can't come to the table and deliver when it's
Yeah.
asked of me. Like, what if you were Sway? I gotta stay sharp.
I've
man.
even rapped with you a couple times.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
We had some good times. Shout out to Baghdad Brooke, by the way.
We were
And
just
that
talking. Okay.
You gotta get him on here,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. No. Before we go into the freestyle, I was telling him about Baghdad Brook the other day. Remember when we performed, or today, when we were we went to DC with him. He had that show. Remember we did that song Microphone in DC at that club.
Yeah.
Right.
How'd it go, dude? I kind of didn't remember.
It went well. Like we killed it.
I think I remember my verse. Do you remember yours?
If I hear the song, I can remember it. If I heard the
I
song,
met
I
this
can.
dude named Normal. Totally wasn't, but I heard him out. Remember that was Who's on Deck? Ciphers,
That was
we're
that's
breaking-
the Who's on Deck song. I'm talking about the microphone check.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
microphone song.
I feel at home when I'm on the microphone.
Yeah.
Hey.
If I heard the song, I was trying to find it. So I want to play it.
I
for
know
the
that
show.
verse, dude.
And if I can find it, I'll play it silently slowly, lightly in the background.
Yo,
during
I
the
know
show
that
this
verse.
shit.
Let me spit that verse real quick for the
You got
people
it?
one time. Yeah, I
Oh,
think so. I
alright.
think so. Let me dig through the files. Yeah. My mama put me in a spotlight at a young age. Maybe she never knew the feeling I got would not fade. Here I am, years later, still center stage, entering with intentions of flexing and getting a raise. A rise more than being an attention whore. Realize I'm the type of guy who lives for thrills. I thrive off energy. Something from the bottom of my gut I can't describe. I'm someone from the bottom of New York. I've had to ride a bus from the first stop to the last. Take the cue to transfer wherever just to get the chance to be heard. Free words, recall when I became normal. Show at SOBs where we spit the illest was performing. Got pulled on stage to participate in a live cypher. Threw a snapback back that I caught earlier that night.
Yep.
Crowd got mad hype. Felt right. Felt like it's where I could excel. Now it's just one of the stories I tell about how hard I fell into this life. Come on, man. Come on.
Raj.
Feels good, right?
That feels fucking good.
That's like old, man. That's an old
It
verse.
is very, very old verse.
But that's a storytelling come up story. I feel at home on the microphone.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for this song before we put this
find
episode
a
out.
song.
It's coming out on Monday.
Shout out to Wordspit, man.
Shout out to Worstbit, classic dude.
Yeah, and shout out to Coco Sarai. And you guys may not know this. And shout out to the Illest, the band that was playing. Shout out to all you guys. I love you guys. There was a show you did at SOBs. It was an AIDS awareness show. And you pulled me on stage to freestyle in a cypher. And I was maybe one of the only white guys there. And me and you were cool. And you knew I freestyled well because we would always rap at the ciphers. But the fact that you pulled me up on stage and I had that moment I rapped and I threw the snapback back in the audience. You know who caught the hat?
Who?
Hood Chef.
Hood Chef.
Hood
We were talking
Chef.
about Hood Chef last episode.
You gotta
too.
get him on
Jesus.
here too, dude.
Oh no, I want to go to the Fun House in Cali and shoot that.
Let's do-
He lives out in like a house with all the guys in Cali called
Of
Fun
course,
House.
of course. 4 Fun Locos, those dudes.
All those the locos.
Yeah, man.
The
I got a tattoo at one of their parties once on my foot.
The Nike check, right?
Yeah, just do it. That's my attitude. You know my attitude. We're looking for sponsors. Get the sponsorship. Don't forget Jameson.
Yeah, just put your foot up there, bro.
Don't forget to just do it.
just fucking do it.
Just do it. I got that tattoo at a free tattoo party.
Yeah,
At a bar that's no longer there in Union Square. Shout out to Hood Chef and the 4 Fun Locos.
Raj, thank you for coming in, man.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Of course, bro. Anytime, you're more than welcome here. Obviously.
Yeah. It's great to see you, man.
Cheers.
Good job.
Episode 2. That's a wrap.
Episode 2.
If you want to tell people where they can find you, I mean, like I said, your stuff's gonna be in the bio and everything. But if you want to tell anybody anything,
man.
feel free.
I just want to say peace, love, and positivity to everybody watching. I hope that you find solace in this mad, crazy world where negativity and hate is on the rise. I hope that you find something to keep yourself grounded. And please tell the people you love that you love them and cherish them and show them that you love them every day. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of your mental health. And please push yourself as hard as you can and push the limits and try your best at whatever you're doing. Never give up on yourself. Never lose hope. I love you so much. I hope all your dreams come true.
Cheers.
Peace.